I am Gilles Bruvel. I am a sculptor working in different sort of media, and I'm from Texas, in Wimberly, and I love being here at Slate Gray Gallery in Telluride. It's a beautiful town, and a beautiful crew, and a beautiful gallery.
I agree. My name is David Davis. I'm a sculptor out of Austin, and also really enjoy the town of Telluride, and this gallery here, Slate Gray, has done a wonderful job with our work. Really happy to be here. Typically working in Texas heat, it's very difficult to do just because of the amount of exposure to the heat, welding and working with torches and things like that. So it is nice to take a break, come to Telluride where it's so much cooler. It just gives us a break from the studio where we work 14 to 16 hours a day. And sometimes we're so involved with our artwork, we often forget to take a break. And
Yeah,
Gilles has to remind me to do that.
Well, you're obliged to also work outside because of the fumes.
For sure.
So it's kind of hard to work in a closed up environment.
Absolutely.
And I'm a little bit the opposite. I mean, all the workshops, studios are air conditioned, but it's a different thing that being in air conditioning versus being here with the surrounding mountain and the incredible sceneries. You know, we artists, so we're inspired by the grandiose and by the little things too. So I think if I were to be here in Telluride, I'd be certainly inspired to be here and create some work for sure.
Well, just being here for a short while, it provides us with, a refresher. Being out there in the same studio space day after day, seeing the same thing, your mind kind of gets in this sort of a trench of thinking the same way. So it's good to go do different things and go to different places, especially for me, I've never been here. So I'm getting a whole new point of view and perspective that will hopefully inspire some new work. The work environment is very playful and fun, and at the same time, very work-oriented and very serious, very get things done kind of attitude. But at the same time, laughing. One time I remember specifically, I thought that they were playing a funny YouTube video in the next room of the studio just from all the different weird sounds and laughter that I heard coming out, and I go into the room and it's just them having a good time while they're working. And I like to see that sort of thing. The happiness, it pours into the work itself. The attitude in the studio, everyone feels it, everybody feeds off of it. And I think that's something that I really like about where we are.
Yeah, well, there is that, and also it's younger people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it is, the role of mentoring, I guess, as showing a positive role model, is to really teach like the work ethic, and by realizing that coming out of school, now they're going to have to be able to eventually at one time self-sustain if they want to continue to be artists, and to really infuse them with a very strong work ethic. But nonetheless, we're like having to have a great time.
Oh yeah, lots of laughs.
Lots of laughing and a lot of jokes. And, wow. I mean, I think what you did mostly is to teach me patience with the assistant, because I got a super strong work ethic. I'm considered workaholic. That's what you said it.
Very OCD, very
particular. But in the same time, I think that's also a positive role model. But I think I've learned communicating in a better, more positive way, critiquing each other's work, and with always a fresh perspective. And I think that's self-maintained, I guess, what you're saying.
I'd like to think that the studio is cultivated by example, and that not only do they see Gilles' amazing example of an actual professional artist who's making it out in this world, which is very rare these days, but myself as an example of someone who's come exactly from where they're coming as a student, as somebody in debt who's barely starting their career, and now I'm, getting up there closer little by little to Gilles here. and so
Yeah,
for them
showing
to
by example.
for them to
Yeah.
see that example, it's inspiring to them to try.
Because it's also age related. You know, they see me as the older guy because I'm way older than everybody in the workshop, and you're like older than them, but they still can relate, and they see is arching toward a larger and larger success, you know, by, I mean, sometimes I would say buys a day when you get new commissions working, you know, and they realize that they just can do that, you know, and it's like an important aspect of role modeling. Yeah, well, there's also the notion of removing the negative rap that failure has.
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
is to see that sometimes, I mean, we do pieces and we're absolutely not happy, and they're great because they're like, you know, I say, well, do I have a bad day? And they're like, yeah, you have a bad day. I'm like, okay. So the idea of failure is progressively debunked as a negative aspect of being an artist. I mean, a failure is never a failure, it's just a new way to
learning how not to do
remake it,
something.
not to do the same mistakes. So, and then to be able to entice patron to subsidize individual artists that we continue providing workshop space, connection to the art world, collectors, trade shows, galleries, etc., etc. So, because I mean, overall, the idea is to have the awareness that so much talents get wasted all the time for simply lack of resources, lack of a proper
Support
environment. Yeah. I mean, you know, to me, success I felt never really changed me, because I always was extremely of this tunnel vision, single-mindedness to do what I wanted to do. So that's why I never really fell into ism. And I've been somehow a little bit counterculture involuntarily, not to be a contrarian or trying to make a point I don't know. I mean, I think what's more important is that the next generation of artists keep developing the talent regardless of the trend or the fashion or anything like that, just to be able to really truly follow your dream without your own individuality.
I feel like it's going to sort of head in the same direction, but it's just going to grow exponentially. You know, the projects are this big now. Tomorrow they'll be this big, and in a year they'll be, you know, the size of the house.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the way it naturally probably will evolve is that I'm perfectly aware that by training like talents like David or, you know, anybody else should take great talents. I'm sorry, just
come on.
unique talents. Eventually, they're going to be on their own, and I'm going to lose them. That's unavoidable, you know. So that's I think where it's going. And
when I'm trying to create because I know that's going to happen as well, I'm trying to create a sort of perpetual nature in the studio to where when that time comes that I do leave, that the people there are able to take over everything that I do, and we won't be able to skip a beat and things in the studio.